Welcome back to Mostly Growth, the number one podcast in product monetization. And did you guys see this guy just used ChatGPT to sell his house?
Like entire process, he sold it?
He asked ChatGPT like how to maximize the value of the house. So like told him like which rooms to paint to maximize resale value, which day of the week to list the house, how much to charge for it. It made all the marketing materials. It did the negotiations and contracts. Like ChatGPT was his like real estate agent, lawyer, everything.
Did he have to pay it 5%?
Maybe the $20 a month. Any guesses where this took place?
Florida.
Only in Florida. Every time you hear something strange in the news, it is happening in Florida. Now, I mean, we could debate like maybe he probably could have charged more for it than what ChatGPT recommended. Like he apparently sold it pretty instantly. There was like a bidding war. So maybe he underpriced it. Maybe an agent would have been better than negotiation and would have like made up for that, couple percentage points. Honestly, most agents in my experience don't do a whole lot when they're listing a house. And their incentive is often to just get the house sold and not to maximize the price of the house.
I often feel that realtors will work against you in the closing stages, similar to like an investment banker, if it's on a single digit percentage. If it's $1 million house and somebody offers you 950, 50 grand is very meaningful to you. That's real money. But to them, they're like, oh, what? I don't know, take my family out for one more dinner, but like I get absolutely nothing if it doesn't get done. Using someone or an agent or something that has no bias to it and is working on your behalf and has the context of what you want, it actually makes a lot of sense.
So today I wanted to talk about like what we're delegating to ChatGPT or increasingly to AI agents. So we talked with Scott from Metronome about AI agents being the ones buying products. We're starting to see some signs of that. Like, are we actually going to trust AI agents with their own credit cards? But like, where do we want to outsource AI to? What do we trust? What do we not trust? And where are the limits?
And we've spent over 50 years building finance and accounting controls into our technology so that humans don't accidentally spend money. But I think what we're going to talk about today in many of these use cases, we're wiring those same controls to autonomous agents now. So this has made me question a lot of things, Kyle.
When we talked with Scott about it, and this was only like a couple weeks ago, I thought this was still kind of science fiction. Like, oh yeah, it's an interesting like thing. But then I saw almost immediately afterwards, Ramp launched what they call agent cards, which are like credit cards for AI agents to buy stuff.
Yeah, and maybe I can make that real for people. So typically with corporate credit cards, you can have actual hard credit cards. We can also have virtual credit cards. And the virtual credit cards can be also specific to vendors. They can be specific to even campaigns within a vendor, like a Facebook ad spend. And so what Ramp has done is they've outsourced the ability for certain tasks to be done when it comes to procurement using these specific cards. And now they all have policies around them, right? It's not like it can go out and just book a $20,000 first class ticket to Dubai if you don't allow for that within your company. It's not science fiction, is what I'm saying.
It's a virtual credit card with a evolving credit card number. So it's only used for a specific transaction. It verifies like the transaction type. It has to fit all of your classic expense parameters. So if the price is above a certain level, it needs to have the appropriate like delegation of authority approvals before it can spend that money so that you have like more approvals for more expensive purchases. And then it can automatically flow through to expenses.
And we use virtual cards within our own company. So Matthew, our sales guy, has a Brex virtual card that only allows him to spend it on HubSpot. And it has a limit, and we know how much HubSpot charges per month. And maybe we put a little bit extra in case we add one more seat, but it doesn't go above that. Ben has a virtual credit card for anything related to Riverside and certain production things, but it would get flagged if he tried to book like a flight to New York or to Vegas or something like that.
Don't blow that virtual card on a Vegas trip, Ben. These agent cards are going to operate similar to what you described. They are in partnership with Visa, but then at the same time as Ramp made this announcement with Visa, Mastercard actually just introduced what they're calling an open standard to verify AI agent transactions. Did you see this Mastercard news?
No, what does that even mean though?
Every time an AI agent makes a purchase, there's some questions around the transaction. Like, did the consumer actually authorize the purchase, or did the AI agent act in a rogue way? Did they follow the instructions exactly? So like Ramp will bake this in with like spending controls. But then the last thing is like, if something goes wrong, can anyone prove it? Because you're going to have instances where you'll maybe want to like dispute the transaction and it's unclear who you should dispute it with. Like, do you dispute it with the AI agent vendor? Do you dispute it with your credit card? Do you dispute it with like the vendor that it made a purchase with? Like, there's actually a lot of like challenges there. And so they have a standard for at least like collecting the data that is the minimum amount of data needed to still have trust over the process. And they want to make that an open standard. So Google immediately said, yes, we're on board with the standard. And a bunch of others are trying to kind of say, hey, yeah, look, we agree with these standards too.
Well, what I'm wondering in the background is that the credit card rate that the merchant negotiates is predicated on how much information and how likely it is to be a case of fraud. So sometimes, have you ever been at a gas station and it's super annoying that when you scan it, they also ask for your zip code?
Oh, yeah, every gas station. And then like nowhere else asks for that.
That's because fraud is extremely high on gas. Like the Shell station in your town that asks for that, they get a rate that's maybe 25 basis points better because they ask for one more piece of information to help verify. And so what I'm wondering is, okay, that's cool, but is the credit card rate for agent to agent transactions going to be like 8% instead of 2.5%?
I guess we'll have to see, but this is meant to probably try to keep that down by making things consistent at least. And then I was even wondering, like, what is this going to be used for? Like, who's going to be doing these things? There was a survey recently from Payments Intelligence, and they found that the highest ranked use case for agentic AI purchasing is dynamic budget reallocation based on fresh cost data. AI agent spending can spend money in much more of a real time, a dynamic way, like almost like API driven in a way that's very different from how humans buy. If like speed matters, if having dynamic sort of controls matter, AI agents might be better at buying things than people.
And I think there's a distinction though between buying and negotiating. And just take it a step further. Are we trusting agents to just go out and buy something at a fixed rate, or are we giving it the autonomy to go and try to get a better deal on something?
I think one thing we want to debate is like, what would you trust AI to do and not do? I think the basic thing would be like a commodity good. If you're a consumer and you're like, hey, I want you to buy diapers, and then maybe it's even in co-pilot mode where it recommends like the best diaper option for you. And then you're like, all right, just buy it. But then if you're like, hey, I'm going to buy $1 million of enterprise software and it's like multiple products and this company probably often like negotiates or gives discounts, like go figure that out. Then it starts getting really complicated.
I do want to reflect on something real quick. I was talking to Russell Lester, the CFO of Tropic, and he said, do you remember we were trying to debate, hey, would we ever use like just in-house, like financial data or sales data inside AI? And everyone was like, absolutely not. I would never let AI touch any data on my company. Fast forward less than 2 years, that is literally what people do every single day using AI. And it's to the point now that we use connectors inside of Claude to connect it to every single doc on our G Drive. That's a mind-blowing leap we've made in terms of how much information we're now willing to give AI. Today, I think with a lot of the purchasing stuff, I'm still in that camp of like, I would never let an agent do that. But in 2 years, am I going to completely flip the script?
Yeah, I mean, things are changing really quickly. It reminds me with any sensitive workload, when you were thinking about cloud versus on-prem, there was a long period of time when people would not trust the cloud and like financial services companies would be completely anti-cloud. That shift took decades to play out. And I think with AI, we're seeing the shift in like months or maybe like a couple of years as opposed to decades.
Hey, thanks for listening. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.
Here's a growth tax nobody talks about. Every new monetization model you ship creates a nightmare for your finance team. Add usage-based pricing? Now you're tracking consumption against commitments. Launch product bundles? That's multiple performance obligations per contract. Offer mid-cycle upgrades? Woo! Good luck reallocating revenue manually. But that's exactly where RightRev shines. RightRev is the revenue recognition engine built for companies that can't afford to let accounting slow down growth. When your RevRec is automated, your product team can ship new pricing without asking finance for permission. And your sales team can close creative deals without worrying about downstream chaos. To get up on my CFO soapbox for a sec, I love talking about creative pricing models, hybrid pricing, credits, tiered usage. But I've seen too many companies where the sales team is celebrating a huge quarter while finance is still trying to figure out how to recognize half of it. In a world where your pricing model might change 3 times next year, that flexibility is everything. If you want to scale your monetization without breaking your books, visit RightRev.com. That's RightRev.com, where modern monetization meets bulletproof accounting.
Here's a question. When was the last time you really had time to focus on growth and not chasing contract renewals, tracking shadow IT spend, or explaining rising software costs to the board? Yikes! The truth is, traditional spend management is broken. If you're still piecing together data from 5 different systems just to figure out what you're actually spending, while vendors keep on pushing those auto renewals and price hikes, my friend, I got a solution for you. That's where Tropic comes in. Tropic is an intelligent spend management solution that consolidates your spend data and processes into one unified offering, enabling insights and decisive action. It doesn't just show you where the problems are, it helps you solve them. From spotting hidden optimization opportunities like duplicative spend, to automating those painful procurement workflows, to giving you the best market data that turns every vendor negotiation in your favor. Tropic combines smart insights with real human expertise to keep you ahead of the curve. And I can say firsthand because I've used them for over 2 years. Their SaaS platform helps me with price checks. It helps me keep my calendar organized of when renewals are coming up and I can actually visualize it. And let me say, it saves me more than 10 hours a week on vendor management, and we've saved a ton on renewals. I'm walking into the boardroom with a lot more confidence. Isn't it time to turn your spend management into your competitive advantage? Visit tropicapp.io/mostlymetrics. That's tropicapp.io/mostlymetrics.
If you run go-to-market, you already know the problem. Your go-to-market data is everywhere. Ads, CRMs, sales calls, marketing, spreadsheets, but you're still guessing what to do next. HockeyStack is the AI platform for modern go-to-market teams that collects all your customer data and unifies it into a single system of action. Then you deploy AI agents that prospect the right accounts, help reps close and upsell deals, improve forecast accuracy, and automate what's already working across sales and marketing. Instead of running 5-year-old processes manually, your go-to-market team finally has agents that understand your ICP, your funnel, and your buying motion, and they execute on it. That's why teams like RingCentral, Outreach, ActiveCampaign, and even Fortune 100 companies rely on HockeyStack to cut through the noise, eliminate wasted spend, and make better go-to-market decisions faster. That's HockeyStack, the AI platform that helps go-to-market teams make space to think and win. All right, so we're gonna call this section. I did not use AI to come up with this. It's a horrible name I came up with on my own, Kyle. Domains of delegation. So I'm going to take you through a couple.
You're not a marketer, CJ.
Shut up. I'm going to take you through a couple categories: meetings, customer interactions, sales, internal announcements, and hiring and team management. Are you ready for the first one?
I am, but now I'm just thinking you should have called it delegation.
Somehow even worse than mine, Kyle.
It was actually.
Meetings, easy one. Would you let an agent schedule a meeting for you?
I would do that. I mean, I think of this as kind of similar to what I would do with an exec assistant. I have like notorious trust issues, but scheduling meetings was one thing I was okay with.
Would you let it decline meetings automatically?
With the right instructions, yes. There's a lot of cases when people request meetings with me, for example, like an SDR, that are like pretty obvious to like not accept.
Every inbound SDR meeting.
It's just like automatic decline. I think that I would want to set rules and like parameters around it, but I think it could do that. All right.
Would you let it reschedule a meeting with someone important?
I would let it reschedule with the admin of someone important.
That is good nuance.
But not if I was with the person directly, no.
Huh, interesting. Okay. Last one I got for you on meetings. Would you let an agent cancel a meeting because it decided based on the context of the email it was a waste of time?
Currently, no, but I kind of would love that use case at some point because then I could like blame it on the AI. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh no, my agent. I'm like, as a Midwesterner, I hate confrontation and I hate saying no. And like we've talked about this before, like my toxic trait is like I really want to be accommodating, and yet as a solopreneur, it just can't be and run my business. And so an AI agent might be helpful.
The biggest benefit to having Sarah, who runs our operations and also helps me with my calendar and all the requests that come in, is it's very easy for me to tell her to say no because I'm removed from the situation. And I think of agents in the same way, where there are a lot of things historically that I think I'd say yes to because, like you, I'm a people pleaser. But if it's the agent saying no, I actually feel kind of relieved.
I would also love to like ask the agent, hey, do you think I should attend this meeting? And why not? Like that, they have an objective point of view.
All right, next category. So these are customer related interactions, okay?
All right.
Would you let an agent answer customer support tickets?
I'd let it be first triage on it, saying that the ones for my business are mostly like, hey, I can't get into my account, like got password issues or whatever, like a technical bug, or like, hey, I want to unsubscribe.
Would you let it handle customer complaints?
What do you mean by that?
Hey, the piece you wrote, I think this part was wrong. I don't agree with it.
That's one that I would not let AI handle because that's so core to the product. And that's feedback. I just need to read it myself. Sometimes I get that feedback and it's someone that like is spot on. And sometimes I get that feedback and it's like totally off, like just not even relevant, but I still want to read it.
Would you let an agent offer a refund without approval? And so for context, your newsletter, is it $15 a month?
I probably shouldn't be saying this on the podcast, but I'm not trying to keep their $15. Like, I don't care. AI agent, sure.
I bet there's some people listening right now, like, what types of refunds would I be automatically okay with?
I would just put a cap, like, right, like monthly refund. Yeah, sure. If it's like an annual refund or something above, like if we're talking about like $150 refund, I probably would want to check on that.
All right, sales. These are sales related questions. Oh, this gets fun. Would you let an agent run cold outbound emails? You're not drawing up the copy. It's just going at it. It's hit and send.
You know, I have to say yes, because like I encourage other companies to test this out. Obviously, like would be careful with this, but I like things that are more automated signal-based plays. So instead of trying to have an AI agent like reach out to thousands and thousands of people, be like, hey, if you find this signal, then like look up who it is, reach out with this type of message. And then I could audit it. Like that would be, I think, okay. And in your case, like being in the recruiting business, like if you have an AI agent that goes and notices Airtable's hiring a director in FP&A and you have a candidate that would be a good fit, you could have the AI agent basically autonomously research that person, find their email, send the email. The email is going to be pretty like formulaic. And so very few things that could go wrong there. But like with that style of outreach, I think it should be fine.
Would you let it book meetings pretending to be you?
I mean, that's pretty much like what an EA does. Yeah, I mean, I already use the Calendly.
Would you let it negotiate pricing with a prospect?
Like I'm the seller here.
You're the seller.
I don't think I would right now.
I wouldn't either.
That's something that like there's too many precedents that you set on that. And so I feel like I'd want actually to also collect the data on it. And so maybe if I had done it myself on like 50 or 100 deals and I could get really precise about if then like guardrails and then just sort of give those as really detailed instructions that is like a deal desk agent could handle. I don't want to outsource a process I don't have down repeatably in my own head. But once I have it down, that's something an agent would be great at executing.
You bring up a good point, and I think it's in the background of all the categories I've asked you about so far. Some of this is less delegating the work. Yeah, we don't want to do that part of the work. It's more what context and earned secrets do you lose on your business because you're no longer really in the flow of the information anymore. Or even if you are acting on it, it's kind of a bitch to do. You learn something, and there are signals of, 5 people have asked about that so far.
There's the core aspects of my business that like I definitely would not outsource to AI, but everything tangential around it, like I often want to learn enough to know how to do it, but then I don't want to keep doing it.
All right, the next one's around internal announcements. Would you let an agent answer your questions from coworkers as you?
I don't have any coworkers.
Hypothetically.
maybe not as me. I would call it like Kyle's agent, and I would have
No,
it.
no, no, no. That's the question, Kyle. You can't change the parameters. It
But
has to be you.
it's not impersonating me. I would be okay with an AI agent being the triage, but with an escalation. I would not be okay with it fully impersonating me without any disclaimers.
Ben, would you be offended if you figured out that it was CJ's agent actually talking to you about like, yo, this teaser's dope?
Yeah, but then I just give it right back to you.
All right, next one. Would you let an agent represent you in a meeting you can't attend?
Ooh, that's very cluely. I mean, I've thought about this because I don't work at a big company, right? But like, you can imagine you have all these meetings that you kind of feel like you should attend for like context setting, or like there's one point you kind of want to make in the meeting, but you don't want to be in an hour-long meeting about something that's not core to your job. I feel like, and you could have an AI avatar kind of like just sit, listen to the meeting, take notes, transcribe the notes. Currently, I would not allow this, but I could see a world where I would allow it, especially for certain meetings that I would see as like low value, but I want to like have a presence in.
Agent, attend this meeting on marketing pipeline. Wait until Becky speaks, and at the 40-minute mark, stand up and say, your conversion rate sucks.
Or like, hey, attend this meeting, transcribe it, identify all the action items, and if it's going off the rails, send me a message and I'll join.
Yeah. All right. So I asked if you would let it represent you in a meeting. If no one noticed it wasn't actually you, would it bother you?
I mean, yeah, because currently the AI is not probably there yet where like you wouldn't notice it, but I would only be doing this for like low value meetings. And so if someone didn't notice, like it'd be fine. It's like, it would be just tell me it was a meeting I didn't need to be in.
Then you're signaling to others that their meeting is a low value meeting.
Signaling to others that they should have made it an email instead of a meeting.
Most meetings should have been an email. Most emails should have been a Slack. Most Slack shouldn't have happened. Last category here. Hiring and team management. Would you let an agent screen resumes?
Yes.
Would you let it rank the candidates?
Yeah, I think so.
Would you let it recommend who to promote?
To recommend who to promote? Maybe. So part of it's like depends on the context that AI has to make the decision. I would worry that the AI currently would not have access to the context it would need to make the decision. But if we could figure out the context problem, I feel like I would be very curious to see the recommendations, because the recommendations might reveal a blind spot on my end. Like there's so much hidden biases around promotion and comp. And like, I know plenty of women that have been underpaid, like, or like promotions have been delayed. And I don't know if people like consciously made the decision to hold them back, but when I inherit them and they start working under me, I'm like, why are you like this level and at this comp when you're doing more than some of your peers? And so like, to me, I think some of the agent decisions would hopefully take some of the blinders off and would be more, at least like give you clarity from an objective sense.
All right, flip side of that. Would you let it recommend who to lay off?
I guess I have to say yes. So there have been so many of these big layoffs recently with like Block, what was that, 40% of their team. Atlassian just did a big one. At a certain point, it's not personal. It's like there's like rules at play. And the rules are often like, hey, we want to lay off of like these teams, these types of employees, and like it's more rules based. In that case, like you don't actually have the personal knowledge of all of the individual employees. And so I feel like, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think you kind of would in those situations.
And these are the two most interesting questions to me, because at first I was like, absolutely not. And then the more I thought about it, I was like, all our calls these days, there are transcripts for it. There are video recordings to read body language. You have the data on performance related stuff from all the systems. It's all sitting in a data lake. And then you have all the email correspondences and Slacks and stuff. And I probably do have biases. Like maybe like I'm hard on Ben because I know he likes the Lakers and I like the Celtics. AI doesn't care about that stuff, and you could probably feed it guardrails. Now, I don't think it gets to the point of like the recommendation versus actually going forward with that recommendation. I would be very curious though on performance management, how it does.
You start introducing like a feedback system on every single thing. So like every time Ben were to like edit a podcast for us, you'd either need to give it like a star rating, or like AI could evaluate the quality of each thing, which maybe it's going to start doing. So like every interaction has an evaluation attached to it. That gets scary.
I think it was a fun exercise. And what I'm trying to figure out is if agents get really good at executing on tasks, things that we've historically made our cake on as professionals, as white collar professionals, does our job of leaders actually shift from making decisions to just designing the rules that those agents are going to follow?
We're heading there for sure. Designing the rules, giving the context. It's much more systems thinking, trying to reserve time for things that require a lot of judgment. But you left out a whole topic around purchasing. Now I'll turn the tables on you. Like, would you let AI buy software on your behalf?
I would let it evaluate software and do like 90% of the requisition process. So with a lot of these procurement tools, there's this whole setup and approval process. And that's actually like the guts of what you're doing. That takes up the majority of the time. I wouldn't let it do the go or no go decision. I don't think I'm the best negotiator in the world, but I do think getting on the phone with somebody at the end plays into some social dynamic in which you're able to still get a better price. Maybe if we had Scott on again, he would tell us that AI knows the market clearing price better than you ever will. You gave the example of the guy in Florida with the house. I still think that humans, for the last mile of any negotiation, can still do better or know definitively that they can't do better.
We're still in this place of human-centric buying for bigger ticket items. But if I'm thinking about smaller items like, hey, I want to run an ad campaign, and I don't really care if that ad campaign is on LinkedIn, Meta, Google. Here's the number of conversions I want. Here's my max budget per conversion. Like, go figure it out. I'd love AI to do that.
Well, that's a bit of a different scenario because you know that you want to make a purchase for a certain task. Like, you're going to spend money either way. So I had a scenario where I was in New York last week and I was supposed to fly from New York to Florida on Thursday morning. I woke up at 6 a.m. for an 8:30 flight. And apparently at 3 a.m. they had canceled my flight. They didn't give a reason for it. And they said, we can't rebook you on anything. And in the back of my head, I actually thought, I wish AI would have just rebooked me on a different airline and I wouldn't even have to deal with this right now. Like, I was extremely price insensitive. I just wanted to go back to see my family on a Thursday. And I ended up actually paying like $450, $500 for a one-way ticket. I think my old ticket was like $100 or something like that. I started to wonder around like the guardrails around something like that. Would it be very cut and dry of, nope, the last ticket was 100. We're not going to go past that. And you don't get that seat. Or does it have the context to be aware that this is a scenario where price doesn't really matter that much? This is more just about the convenience of it all.
Can't read your mind, but you can give it context. It's scary to think about AI buying stuff on your behalf, but I'm thinking of it as like increasingly there are a lot of use cases when it would make sense. And I can see that surface area growing. So like right now, everyone's obsessed with like Claude Code, Claude Cowork. So let's say you're building a workflow where you want to take inbound leads that are coming in, enrich the data on them, and then figure out whether to like send them to an AE or not. Well, maybe you're building this workflow and the agent's like, well, hey, actually, we need to go find industry data on our leads. I'd be like, all right, well, go find the tool that has the highest match rate for the lowest price. Like, go find that and buy it. I just want this workflow done. I don't want to like now spend 24 hours to go figure out what enrichment tool to buy. So probably more self-serve stuff like B2C to B kind of tools. But I think there's a lot of these things that speed and like making a good decision in a timely way that's objective, like that's what matters more than getting it perfect.
I was talking to somebody last week about the ad buying opportunity. Like, I've been experimenting with meta ads, just trying to figure it out. I totally would delegate that within a range of just go out and figure out what the best ROI is. And like you said, decide between LinkedIn, Meta, Reddit. I don't have time to figure them all out. And I don't have the marketing expertise to do it either. And I am willing to spend. I don't know the exact number I'm willing to spend, but it's something.
We'll have to test out these agent cards and we'll see what happens.
Mostly Growth is a Mostly Media production. Executive produced by Ben Hillman. That's me. Additional production by Steve Sarasoli. Nothing said on this podcast is intended to be business or investment advice. It's the sole opinion of CJ, Kyle, and Ben. Just some guys who love talking growth. Mostly. If you like this podcast, hit subscribe and give us 5 stars. It'll only take like 2 seconds and our algorithm overlords love it. Drink water, call your mom, and have a great day.